Welcome to Politics Unleashed. We break down politics and current events while unleashing our honest opinions on the issues shaping the world and within Canada. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share the podcast. This week, we're going to talk about a number of different things. As we've been off for a couple of weeks, it was a little bit of a rough patch for us. We had two vehicles that had to be replaced, and this poor little fella here developed cancer, although he's in remarkably good spirits. But we thought we'd start off with Canada flip-flopping all over its position in foreign affairs.
hmm
What do you think of that, or the many positions of Mark Carney?
It's actually kind of exhausting to just keep track of where he stands at any given day because, I mean, with China, for example, with the electric vehicles, um, he pretty much wanted to force that on everyone. And then afterwards, like, no, we're not going to get rid of these other auto sectors. There's nothing to worry about. Same thing with Iran. He was saying the first day, oh, I'm in full support of the United States, and then afterwards, well, it's not really conducive to the regulations and the laws that we have set up, like internationally. So it's very exhausting trying to keep track of what mood or what belief system Carney wants to uh, exhibit that day, depending on the crowd or whomever he's around, pretty much.
Well, if he had any more positions on Iran, it'd be the Karma Sutra at this point, because he was for the bombing of Iran, then he was against it the next day, and then
Yeah,
the third day, he wouldn't rule out that we were going to participate in it, which he just said was needed to stop the day before. So who knows what his position is going to be this time tomorrow.
yeah.
For all I know, he's going to suggest we should come to Iran's aid at this point, as he's explored every other possible position on the issue.
Well, he did say that he wanted to send out some soldiers to the Middle East.
No, he's not ruling it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we'll just see. We have to, I guess, play it by ear, and then we actually have to see it with our own eyes because he might say one thing and then go against it the next day.
Yeah, I mean, the guy seemingly has no strong opinion on the matter because he comes out and in support of the campaign against Iran for pretty defensible reasons, saying, it's a terrible regime.
Yeah.
Then the next day he says, well, this attack on them needs to stop.
Right.
But unfortunately, the only way Iran is ever going to stop how they treat their own populace is going to be under the Ayatollahs, anyways, is if someone else stops them. So
Right.
the idea that if we just ask them nicely to be a better country,
Not gonna happen.
won't happen. Yeah,
No,
I mean,
that's not how they run things over there.
people have been trying that for 50 years.
Yeah. It's actually kind of sad when you see videos of how they used to act and dress back in the day. They used to look so modern and almost like westernized. You wouldn't be able to distinguish between Iran and the US, in the
Yeah.
70s. Like they look the same. So it's actually kind of sad, especially when you hear about women being stoned to death, killed in the streets for not covering up properly, for showing, like, bits of their hair here and there. It's just very sad to me that a lot of feminists here in the West, they're against what's going on uh, in terms of America, asserting their power over Iran, but they're the ones that are against Trump. They call him a dictator, but we're actually dealing with a real life dictator, not a dictator that doesn't appease your every mood and your need, depending on your mental state. They don't understand what real dictatorship looks like. And it's alarming to me that they want these freedoms here in the West. They're pro LGBTQ. But when it comes to other countries, somehow all of that stuff just goes right out the window. They don't care anymore about gay, trans people. They don't care anymore about women's rights. So it's kind of exhausting dealing with their cognitive dissonance.
Well, the only consistency with the left is that they hate the West.
Yes,
I mean, so that's the only way you can really rationalize their
even though
position.
they benefit by every single belief system that the West has.
Sure, but if you look at all these communist countries and the way they treat their people,
Yeah.
or these dictatorships in these Muslim countries and their position on human rights and women's rights and gay rights and everything like that, there should be no way that anyone who's on the left should support any of these things.
They should be the biggest cheerleaders of Trump right now. The biggest
Yeah, yeah.
cheerleaders.
I mean, even when he took out Maduro, they all should have been like cheering and high fiving
Right.
because of the way that was oppressing those people. But
People were starving.
yeah,
They
but
couldn't afford to get by.
absolutely. And if you were truly all about people and protecting individual liberties and wealth for all, you would be very happy that bad things happen to these regimes.
Absolutely.
But instead, what we get is the only organizing principle they have is they hate Western civilization. So if someone's against the Americans or the British or the French or whoever, then they're the good guys, and then the white guys are the bad guys
Yeah.
is really how they organize their thoughts. And
Which is
it's
ironic because most of them are white.
the most bizarre thing right now you see is like Western leftists arguing with actual Iranians
Right.
about how their country being bombed is a bad thing, while
Right.
all the Iranians welcome it. And you even have like these kind of bitter female feminists criticizing these Iranian women for dressing up in a way they think is a little bit too provocative, to the point where you have the Franklin saves the Iranian baddie meme being
Yeah.
shared
The
all over the
sand
internet.
Latinas.
Yeah,
Franklin saves the sand Latinas. Yeah. No, it's alarming how severe their cognitive dissonance is. They don't really have a set belief system because it just wavers depending on the cultural background of the dictator and the color of their skin,
yeah.
which is quite despicable, if I'm
Well,
being honest. It really is. It's hard for me to respect people that they're so vocal about equality and feminism and pro LGBTQ rights, but then just switch up when we're talking about a different culture, even though they take that shit to the next
well, there
level.
are no gay people in Iran.
Yeah, yeah, they just they remove them from the earth. It's yeah, it's quite sad. But that is how the left is. They are very seemingly corrupt. That's the word I want to use, corrupt. There's nothing really stable about them. There's nothing really positive at this point, which is quite a shame because the liberals, back in the 90s, early 2000s, they weren't this breed of crazy. I'm going to just say it. These people, they don't really have a set belief system, and they're not really helpful in any meaningful way anymore to the West, because we have to come together and somehow meet somewhere in the middle so that we can actually improve upon our current state. But that's not what they don't really want to cooperate. They just want to push back, complain, but offer no solutions or no negotiations with the right.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where the consistency just isn't there
No.
because they're determined to be against the Americans, especially, no matter how whether what the Americans are doing could objectively be called good or bad.
Right.
I mean, the Americans sometimes do things which aren't good. I mean, their
Sure.
tariffs on Canada
Yep.
and whatnot are objectively a bad thing that they're doing to us. But on the other hand, I mean, their intervention into Iran is long overdue. I mean, the fact that we've been letting these people mess around with trying to build nuclear weapons
Right.
for the last 20, 30 years has been a little bit negligent on the part of the rest of the world, considering you have basically a regime that's been screaming how they want to actually use them to, uh, you know, level parts of the Middle East and attack the Americans and everyone else around them. It's almost amazing this didn't happen sooner.
Yeah. But I mean, nothing really happened underneath Biden except for things just got more unaffordable and crazy people were, allowed to just roam the streets with their crazy ideologies. And I mean,
Wow.
nothing meaningful or constructive really happened under the Biden administration, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I mean, Biden and Obama just thought, what if we just gave them lots of money?
Yeah, that
So,
doesn't really fix anything.
yeah, that
Um,
didn't really do anything good.
no. I mean, that's how Carney also operates, right? Throw money at a problem and see what happens. And so
Yeah,
far, that hasn't worked out that well for the Liberals in the past 10 years because I can't name a single thing that has vastly improved or improved even marginally.
yeah,
But it is quite unfortunate, though, where our federal politics, um, or rather the state of it. And I know that the media likes to point fingers at Pierre. They tried to do that even before his the leadership review, only to see that, you know what, most people did want Pierre there. Um, because they keep saying, you know what, if he can't even keep his cabinet members, then what kind of leader is he? But I mean, we had that insider information from our good friend Billy Morin, and he was saying that they were receiving messages or being contacted um, from the
yeah. Well,
liberals,
I mean, it's
by the liberals.
the Liberals have clearly been going around to every Conservative MP
Yep.
they thought aren't the most committed ideologues, and
Not just committed, it's or the new ones, right? They targeted new
yeah,
ones as well.
anyone that hasn't been there and come across as some kind of
Extreme conservative,
zealot
right?
conservative. They've been going around, and it's been the old $1 million man slogan. Everybody's got a price,
Yes.
and trying to see who they could get to cross the floor. And apparently, some of them are willing to go as cheaply as a free trip to India. So
You know what's funny though? I remember in our earlier podcast days, even though we are a very new podcast, when we were talking about D'Entremont when he crossed the floors,
yeah.
and I said Matt Jeneroux will be next because he put in that resignation letter, which it just gave off all of the red flags, the alarm bells. They were just going off in my head. And you guys said, no, no, he needs to spend more time with his family. And I said, nope, that's bullshit. And I said, I'm watching you, Matt Jeneroux. And there we go. That is exactly what I saw because the guy gives off sleazy car salesman energy. Let's just be real with it.
Well, I wanted to give the rat face son of a bitch the benefit of the doubt because he was on our side. But apparently I was wrong to do that.
Yeah.
So, as it happens, Matt Jeneroux is every bit of a Judas.
Yeah, he is.
And he has no principles, no loyalty, and apparently is a soulless office holder who will sign up for anything that seems to be of advantage to him. I mean, he's been representing Edmonton
Riverbend.
Riverbend from Victoria for over a year and a half now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do we really expect? I mean, the guy,
But longer than that because he's ran multiple times as a conservative, even provincially as
yeah,
well.
well, I just mean that he hasn't even lived in the riding he's been holding
Yeah.
for more than a year and a half, as
Yes.
I understand it. He's
Right.
been more or less living in
In Victoria.
Victoria,
Yeah.
but he's been here in any event, being the MP representing Edmonton. When he barely swans into town, even his floor crossing announcement was in the airport because he and Carney just both flew in to stop here for 5 minutes before they flew out again.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's the old Ignatieff thing. Matt Jeneroux just visiting. As far as Edmonton goes, he's doesn't even live here anymore.
Yeah. It's very disappointing that he did that. It's even more disappointing that he's him, Michael Ma, D'Entremont, they keep implying that their constituents support them in this, that they wanted them to do this. No one wanted you to do shit. They wanted you to do your job, uh, be a proper representation of the party. Because listen, um, there are many great MPs. I mean, we're friends with several wonderful MPs, but the matter of the fact is, people are voting for a party, not usually the MP or the MLA or what have you. They're voting for the party. And he needs to understand that, hey, Matt, you're not that special. No one voted you just because, oh, wow, you're so smart and you have so much to offer. They voted for you because they wanted a conservative government.
Well, let's be real. I mean, when Matt Jeneroux says, "Oh, his constituents wanted him to do this? I mean, when did he ever talk to anyone who actually
Zero
was
times.
in his constituency? He hasn't ever been
No,
here in the last year or so. He might be here like for a week at a time at
no.
most.
And he's dodging his
Yeah,
constituents right
he's
now.
actively dodging his
Yep.
constituents. He's always in Ottawa or he's always in Victoria. So the whole pretense that he goes through that he spoke to people and this is what people wanted him to do. No, I mean his effectively his career's over.
Hmm.
So this is simply him thinking he can line up him some kind of corporate gig for himself by hitching his wagon to Carney in some way, shape, or form. And who knows what could have been promised to him to, rather than have him to ride off into the sunset, decide to essentially, take his 30 pieces of silver
Yeah.
and join the Liberal caucus. So the whole thing is dodgy and it smells. I mean, Jeneroux had been in office as a conservative for like the better part of 2 decades.
Yeah.
So the idea that suddenly, oh, he decided, Mark Carney's a great guy. No, he didn't.
Yeah,
He
he said,
just,
"Oh, his speech at Davos was so moving that I wanted to switch teams." How? You're the one who's actually in Parliament, Matt. You've seen the damage that the Liberals have employed onto Canadians. You've seen all of food insecurity. People can't get by. They can't even pay their bills. They're struggling. Crime's going up. There's nothing that has been improved under the Liberal government. But a speech in Davos is what did it for you?
well,
Because nothing changed on our end. Our platform didn't change, our belief system, hell, our leader didn't change. So he clearly he's getting bribed
who
or
knows?
blackmailed.
I don't know. I mean, the thing with that Davos speech, what was really it even about? It
Nothing.
was a big nothing burger. Mark Carney said, "Well, it's rough that we can't rely on the Americans to be nice to us." Wow, what an earth shattering
Wow.
insight that Donald Trump might be a little bit rough to deal with. Ooh, shocking analysis.
The sky is
Who
blue.
could have come up with this spectacular insight? I mean, what new pearls of wisdom do you have for us, Mark Carney?
Right.
Next, you're going to tell us, that water's wet,
Yes.
winter is cold, and the sky is blue,
Yeah.
and the sun will rise tomorrow. I mean, this was not a speech that had any
No.
kind of real substance to it. It was just Mark Carney going to whine to a bunch of Europeans that the Americans haven't been as nice to them as they think they should be. I, and you know what? I mean, it was basically a bunch of countries bitching and moaning that
Mm-hmm.
the U.S. was expecting them to pull their own weight
Mm-hmm.
and to look after themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It has. That's what I'm saying. It has to be because when he's put in that resignation letter, I kept asking, "Is he a lawyer? Is he a doctor? Businessman? Like what does he do?" Oh no, he's just a career politician. Okay, that's why I said, "Yep, he's going to be crossing the floor." I had like there was not a shadow of a doubt he was going to do that, and I think that he either got bribed or they have blackmail on him because there are so many rumors about, let's say, mm, what he does behind closed doors with younger staffers, female staffers. There's lots of rumors about that. I don't know if they're true. I wouldn't put it past him given the energy that he gives off. And he clearly can't be trusted. So it's one of the two. They have something on him, or they just gave him a lot of money, maybe even a mix of both.
yeah, I have no idea. I mean, obviously, he was promised something to induce him to cross the floor. I mean,
Mhm.
all these people, you don't really see that it would happen unless they were offered some kind of inducement
Right.
that they were going to get some special treatment or there was going to be some pro quo to get them to do this.
Right, because it has to be significant. Because again, he's a career politician. The guy's not an accountant, a businessman, doctor, lawyer, nothing. Okay, he's a career politician. So that had to be pretty sweet deal in order for him to shoot himself in the foot and guarantee that he will never get elected again.
Well, you never know. I mean, he might run in Victoria as a liberal.
I don't
I
think anyone, if I don't know. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. And I hope to God that those voters are waking up by now and they would never, ever trust someone like that or a liberal because of the extensive damage they've done.
Well, look, the thing about him going and running in Victoria would be running in Victoria is going to be, more old white boomers than a Rush concert.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a demographic that will vote blindly for Mark Carney at this point.
Which is really sad that a whole generation is willing to sell out. Not a whole generation, because I know several boomers that are conservatives, and they're awesome. But there's a big chunk of them that vote liberal, and they're willing to sell out the livelihood, the well being of their kids, grandkids, great grandkids. That's really disappointing to me because
Well,
we're supposed to leave the world a better place, not fuck it up for the young
yeah.
generation.
Well, I mean, realistically, what's with those people though is they don't have the problems that the younger generations in Canada do. They already
Oh,
own their own houses and they bought
yeah.
them cheap.
Oh, yeah.
So in many cases, they not only bought their house cheap, they sold it for a fortune. So they're
That's
sitting
an
on a ton of
understatement.
cash.
Yep.
They made all their money before inflation, so they were able to save a lot of it because their housing costs them a fraction of what people pay now to get a house. So they have a lot more money, and they're detached from all the financial problems as a result. And now mostly they're retired; they don't have to work every day.
But
So
are
they
they
also
detached from empathy
well, and
for
they
their
get
own
to sit
kids?
around and watch CBC or whatever all
Yep.
day and, imbibe the propaganda.
Yeah.
So, yeah, people detached from all the cost of living and housing problems who also, are the most propagandized uh, of the people in Canada because the other day they released numbers that were internal CBC numbers, and their audience is extremely old.
Yes. Yeah.
I
It is
mean,
older.
extremely old. Like the engagement of younger people with CBC, minuscule.
Very, very, very small.
Because I mean, if you're under 40, the chances are you would watch Netflix, not CBC.
Well, and
Uh,
if you're gonna get your news, you're probably gonna get it on YouTube. So I
yeah,
mean, it's you have more access to different channels, a variety of them, and even
yeah,
independent media sources. So, yeah, they're
yeah,
getting their news usually in other from other places.
yeah. But nonetheless, I mean, that group of people is the most likely to watch the old traditional media sources
That's right.
and the CBC in particular. I mean, just because uh, all the younger people are kind of more online, for lack of a better term, and less devoted to kind of traditional television broadcast news or newspapers or anything like that.
Right.
And if they read a newspaper, it's going to be they read it online.
That's very, very true.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just unfortunate where the state of Canada is at. I today I just read that we are going to be up to 100,000 assisted suicides in this year, which is very sad. I think assisted suicides, if I'm not mistaken, account for like one of the top five ways people die here in Canada.
Yeah.
Very concerning.
The way they've expanded it from, there was always a very kind of sympathetic edge to it. Like if
Yes,
someone had
terminal
like
cancer.
terminal cancer
Right,
or some kind of wasting disease like that,
right. There's no
where
cure.
there's no cure, there's no
They're
treatment.
in late stages.
Yeah,
They're suffering.
and it's
Right.
essentially a palliative care option
Right.
to
And they
let
would
them.
actually even still, even in those cases, they would give them a cooling off period
Yeah,
to actually, go back and forth in their mind to really see if this is the decision that they want to make. Now they've opened it up to anything that mm, it's affecting your quality of life and you say that you can't deal with it anymore. And it doesn't matter if there are interventions that could completely cure you or if it's not severe, doesn't matter. If you can't deal with in your life and you're quote unquote suffering, and that could be like in a variety of ways, psychological, mental, it's an inconvenience to deal with, that's enough for an assisted suicide. And there's no longer a cooling off period. You could book your assisted suicide sometime this week if you wanted to. That's how messed up it is.
yeah. The fact that they now offer to anyone who's really only got psychological complaints, like some sort of mental health issue, I mean, it's gone kind of off the rails
Oh, that's an understatement.
from
That's
my
fucked up
perspective.
because,
I mean, when it was people with chronic terminal
right.
diseases wanting
I
some kind of
understand why
relief,
they would want
everyone
that.
kind of understood
Yeah,
that. But this expansion where every soldier who comes in with PTSD seeking treatments offered and made, that's just extreme.
right.
It's not what's supposed to happen, and it's a real failure of the healthcare system that this seems to be raised unprompted in so many circumstances rather than some kind of actual course of treatment.
Well, and it's not just the failure of the healthcare system, it's the failure of the federal government because they've let in way too many people that they can't take care of their own citizens. They can't even take care of those newcomers. And so, what do we have to do to level everything out and to be able to provide that kind of standard of healthcare that we once had? We're going to have to kill a few people. That's really messed up to me. So, our socialized healthcare system isn't that great if we're just saying, oh, well, you know what? In order to get those services, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a lot of resources and calling back and forth, being an advocate for yourself. You know what's easier? Offing yourself.
Yeah, I mean it's one of kind of a widespread institutional failure in Canada. I mean, our healthcare system is broken, our justice system is broken,
Very.
the immigration system is broken. Arguably our jails are broken. Uh,
Oh, man, he crop dusted again. This guy's farts, it's like honestly borderline biological warfare. This is like almost on the same level of like ricin or anthrax. Like what the it's like tear gas.
oh man, we're gonna cut the part out where Michelle goes into the cat is crop dusting us.
No, it's okay. We'll leave it.
Yeah,
We'll leave it. We're
we're
just
gonna edit this out, I
no,
swear.
no.
But completely derailing the conversation. In any event, yeah, I mean, Made is just kind of a failure of our system.
It really
Uh,
is.
so when it was this very limited thing, like most bad ideas in Canada, when you look at the very original minimalistic thing, it wasn't a bad idea. It's
Yeah.
just everything in Canada, which originally seemed like it was an okay idea, winds up being the thin edge of the wedge. And it's just you push it and push it and
See
push
how
it
far you can go with it.
until it becomes a horrific, an extremely counterproductive addition to our body politic and to our country. And what we're seeing over the last decade is all of these things kind of metastasizing into larger and larger problems, which are really making the country in kind of a disastrous state. So, this is just unfortunately one of the many afflictions we have at this point in time.
Truly. Yeah. It's quite disappointing. And I know you are not a separatist, but I am. And it's no surprise to me why the separatist movement is gaining more traction because we are watching a dumpster fire, a metaphorical dumpster fire in front of us. And us Albertans who are propping up the rest of the country are just sitting here watching all of this. We're getting taken advantage of. Out in the east and in other parts of Canada, they are voting against our best interests. So most of us, I mean, well, all of the people in the separatist movement want to jump ship.
Well, if we're going to talk about referendums, why don't we get to our next topic,
Sure.
which is Danielle's referendums? Because what Danielle Smith came out and did over the last couple of weeks was announce that she was going to put forward her own referendum questions.
Hmm.
And she's not content for us just to have one referendum question. She wants this to be a mini referendum exam
Okay.
where we're going to have to answer a number of questions.
Sure.
So why don't we just go through them
Yeah,
one by one?
sure, sure. Go ahead.
One, do you support the government of Alberta taking increased control over immigration for the purposes of decreasing immigration to more sustainable levels, prioritizing economic migration, and giving Albertans first priority on new employment opportunities?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why anyone would be in favor of that, broadly speaking. I mean, Alberta should try and minimize the amount of immigration we have because we've all seen the amount of negative impacts immigration's having on the housing market, healthcare, education, and just the ability of young people to get jobs, even here locally. And Alberta is not in as bad a state as the rest of the country,
No, but we're still
but
not even close to our full potential or how we used to be even 10 years ago. Listen, I'm born and raised here, and even still in West Edmonton, like I barely spread my wings and left. I just moved 10 minutes down the road, okay? I'm born and raised here. This is not the Alberta I grew up with. This is not the future that was promised to younger generations. What we've done is unforgivable to the younger generations. I feel bad for even my generation. There's several of my friends, they don't even own houses still at their age, and they're in their mid to late 30s. They
yeah.
don't own their houses. They're still leasing vehicles. This is unacceptable because back in the day, if you worked hard, doesn't matter what kind of job you had, even a retail job, 40 hours a week, full time, you can afford a house. And that's the way it should be. If you work hard, you should be allowed to have these things. You shouldn't have to jump through so many damn hoops, uh, and you know attain so many different jobs in order to put a meal on the table. This is unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, things really have gone downhill since about 2015.
Yes,
And the country was able to hold up for several years because you
yeah.
can't really uh,
It takes
wreck
a
it.
bit to
It takes a while to
yeah.
really mess with the formula.
Yes.
There's only so many bad things you can do in a short period of time, but unfortunately, it's all been adding up for a decade now.
I just honestly I wish that they voted for my policy for the CPC thing, because I'm like, listen, honestly, no, I know. I think that it would have helped to just take the temperature down for the separatist movement, because we'd be essentially giving them what they want by reformulating equalization, because unfortunately we can't get rid of it. So I said, well, what can we do? We can reformulate it. But no, they didn't want it because those fuckers out east, man, they didn't want that.
No, I think on this one you need to make like a Disney princess and let it go.
No, no, I'm never, listen, I'm never going to let it go because Alberta gave me my opportunities. Alberta gave me my quality of life. The rest of Canada didn't do that. We've been giving out money to them. Alberta did all those things, not Canada.
Yeah. Well, obviously, the premier is trying to put forward these referendum questions
Mm-hmm.
to try and improve how Alberta functions within Canada. So, referendum question number 2. Do you support the government of Alberta introducing a law mandating that only Canadian citizens, permanent residents, and individuals with an Alberta approved immigration status will be eligible for provincially funded programs such as healthcare, education, and other social services?
Duh. What kind
Well,
of questions are these?
yeah, I mean, obviously, the benefits of citizenship should first and foremost be going to the citizens of a country, and
Right,
in those, I suppose we allow to be here like permanent residents. So
right.
I don't even see why this should be controversial. To me, it's a little bit baffling that as soon as someone steps through the door, that
They're just
we
giving all this free
give them
stuff.
everything that a citizen
80 something
uh,
thousand dollars, place to
well, those
stay.
are the refugee claimants. I also think it's baffling that we not only let people in, but we apparently have to give them better benefits than we would give wounded veterans or senior citizens or anyone
Yeah.
else in this country. We shouldn't be doing that. But
Dude, we're going to give
even the
$100 million worth of scholarships to Indian students.
Well, even the fact that as soon
Like,
as someone comes here as a temporary foreign
yeah.
worker, we're apparently giving them healthcare and education and everything like this. Why are we doing that? I mean, they just got here. Why should they be entitled to the same things as taxpayers?
And also, hey, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you go to like any other country and demand for all of these benefits, not going to happen. It's not going to
No.
happen. So why are we doing all of this charity work for everyone else when we don't even have the money or the resources to do it? That's just shameful to our citizens that we're even allowing this. We should be protesting in the streets for things like this. People are dying in emergency waiting rooms because they don't have enough resources to tend to the population. This is just unacceptable.
Well, and Question number 3.
Hmm.
Assuming that all Canadian citizens and permanent residents continue to qualify for social support programs as they do now, do you support the government of Alberta introducing a law requiring all individuals with a non permanent legal immigration status who reside in Alberta to reside in Alberta for at least 12 months before qualifying for any provincially funded social support programs?
Minimum. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my only criticism of that question is why so quickly?
Same.
I mean, at the point they qualify for these programs, arguably, should be when they become
Citizen.
a citizen or a permanent
Permanent resident.
resident,
Right.
as opposed to being a temporary resident of the province. The idea that we should be allowing people who aren't citizens to have all the same benefits, I think, really does cheapen the value of citizenship.
It really does. And it is a slap in the face uh, to the immigrants that came here, let's say 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and so on and so forth,
Well,
because they had to jump through metaphorical hoops in order to get here. They had to submit almost like everything about themselves. I'm surprised, maybe even their blood type. I don't even know. They had to ensure that they could make money, that they're educated, that they have no criminal record. We wanted the best of the best here. And that's why we were able to build this country into what it is today, because we were so discerning of who we allowed in this country. And now it's a free for all.
and when my grandparents came here, what did Canada give anyone? Nothing. They
Nothing.
said, feel free to wander off into the bush and chop down a bunch of trees and build yourself a house.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
It's not like they said, well, here's your free health care, here's the free education for your
Never.
kids, here's a social support program. No, it was you can walk off into the bush or pay to take a train as far as the train goes.
They had to work
And
their asses
after
off.
that, good luck to you,
Yeah.
essentially. And now all of these immigrants are entitled to all this list of benefits and programs the moment they step foot into the Canadian soil.
Mhm.
I mean, it's bizarre. I mean, just because previous generations got nothing like this.
Nothing. So it's a huge slap in the face to them. And what we're doing is truly unacceptable, because if we want our society to be better, we need to ensure that anyone that comes here is actually going to contribute to said society.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that takes us to the next question. Assuming that all Canadian citizens and permanent residents continue to qualify for public health care and education, as they do now, do you support the government of Alberta charging a reasonable fee or premium to individuals with a non permanent immigration status living in Alberta for their and their families' use of the healthcare and education systems?
Obviously.
Obviously, yes. I mean, they should have to pay extra. They've just got here. They haven't contributed
They
anything.
haven't paid into the tax system. Yeah, of course they should be paying. We
Yeah,
don't owe people anything, okay? We're already giving you a, well, relatively safe place to stay. I mean, it's much safer here than in a lot of other countries, but we're still not at a level that is acceptable to me, in my opinion. But yeah, we are giving them this space, this very relaxed, westernized culture, and all these freedoms. So yeah, I mean, that's a given.
yeah,
That's the prize already, being here.
the difficulty is you have some of these people who just want to give every social program away, and they want other people to pay for it.
Right.
I mean, it's the president of Argentina, uh, Javier Milei's quote: "Everyone's a whore with someone else's ass."
Oh, shit.
And that's kind of how a lot of people feel about tax dollars. They want to spend someone else's money because they're not necessarily
Contributing.
they're not the ones picking up the
Right.
tab. They think
Right.
someone else will.
Right.
So they're happy to vote for people to get free benefits on someone else's tax dollars. Uh, but
Right.
but generally, we have to get back to the conception that citizenship has real rights and privileges to it, rather than it being kind of we're all citizens of the world.
No, this is
And
bullshit.
it's all bullshit.
It is bullshit.
What we are is we're Canadians, and what
Yes,
rights do we have? We have the rights of Canadians.
right,
And what benefits do we see? Well, those that are accorded to Canadians.
right.
And people who are not Canadians shouldn't have those same rights, and they shouldn't have the same privileges we get
Right.
because they're not part of our country.
Yet,
Yet. Yeah, I
exactly.
mean, we're not saying they never can be.
No, of
We grant
course.
citizenship to new
Listen, if
people every year.
yeah, if they can contribute to society in a meaningful way and not take advantage of the welfare system or, partake in criminal activities, gangs, stuff like that, sure. Welcome to Canada. But in my opinion, we need to drastically slow down immigration, even more so than we're doing right now. Like, take it all the way down. I almost want to say zero, because we are just not serving Canadians the way they should be served. I don't want to see emergency lines that long. I don't want people to have to wait for other kind of social resources, or I mean, maybe they can't access the food bank that's the closest to their home. I don't want none of that stuff until we solve all of our societal issues and everyone can be taken care of properly. Then we can entertain bringing in immigrants, and only if they meet the criteria in which we need them to be. Like, they need to actually contribute to society, they need to fill a gap that exists. We don't just bring in other people and they're taking, let's say, lower income jobs, entry level jobs, when we could be giving it to teenagers or perhaps seniors. Maybe some of them, they just want to do something maybe like once or twice a week. Until those people have their jobs and they're fulfilled, then we can entertain that.
Well, when you're bringing in new citizens, it should be people who will contribute.
Exactly.
It shouldn't just be people who are going to go onto welfare and take
No,
up a bunch of
because
welfare
we have enough of
benefits.
that already.
Yeah, I mean, we have enough bums of our own without, importing more. We don't need more people on the welfare rolls.
Right. And I want to make sure that our social services are still being held to a higher standard. Okay. I want to make sure that there's enough homeless shelters. Okay. DV shelters, domestic violence. I want to make sure that we have proper housing in reservations. I want to make sure that Indigenous people don't have to suffer with dirty water on their reservations that are always giving them warnings. They have to jump through so many hoops in order to get fresh water. This is truly unacceptable. These things must be fixed before we even give any type of uh, privilege or resource to any newcomer.
Now, you'd think we're probably done the referendum questions, but there's still four more.
Go ahead.
All right. These ones are constitutional questions.
Mm.
They're: do you support the government of Alberta working with the governments of other willing provinces to amend the Canadian Constitution to have provincial governments and not the federal government select the justices appointed to the provincial King's Bench and appeal courts?
Yes, that would solve a lot of the issues here in the judicial system.
Well, we'd certainly get some judges of a different political background here in Alberta than we get now. I mean, for many years, the judiciary was often referred to as the Friends of Anne McClellan,
Mhm.
uh, the former Liberal deputy prime minister. Not necessarily the case, as she's been retired for a number of years now. But it remains the fact that the preponderance of those people being appointed under the Liberals are very liberal friendly and liberally minded people.
And yeah, I just want less liberal judges here, because they pretty much, most of the time when they're sentencing, it's a slap on the wrist, and they're pretty much spitting in the faces of all the victims and the victims' families and communities and friends. And it's utterly appalling. I see always, like, every week, at least once a week, some horrific case, and the person barely got a slap on the wrist. It's sick.
Yeah, I mean the one about that indigenous lady who beat the kid she was looking after
An
to death.
indigenous child, by the way. Okay, they were indigenous
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
but I guess that
And the
only
lady was
applied,
high on meth and beat the kid to death.
and
Uh,
stuffed her in a duffel bag. and she barely had to do jail time.
Yeah,
That's
3 years in
sick to
time
me.
served. That was,
I want capital punishment back. If you kill a kid, if you're a pedophile, if you're a murderer of any sort, I want you off this earth.
yeah, listen, I mean, in my opinion, we could solve almost the entirety of our crime problems in Canada is if we just hung the 200 worst criminals in every
Oh
Canadian
yeah, because they're
city.
repeat offenders, dude.
Oh yeah. I mean, if we did that, I mean, we'd suddenly have much safer streets.
Yeah.
But the unwillingness of people just to enforce the existing laws and put criminals in jail for lengthy sentences is going to get us to the point where we need to do something drastic like that just to get us back to equilibrium,
Mm-hmm.
because we've just let crime run rampant for so long. There's
Yep.
no deterrence anymore.
No.
In fact, there was a case reported where one of the criminals who participated in trying to cover up a murder told an undercover cop that he wasn't really worried about what kind of sentence he was going to get because he was Indigenous, the Gladue factors would get him a really light sentence. So people are even factoring into their participation in crimes the fact that they're anticipating the judge is going to let them off easy. And then the judge did let this guy off fairly easy, even though he was bragging to this undercover cop about how his Gladue factors were going to get him a sweetheart deal,
And
even if he got caught.
by the way, those privileges that those criminals are getting,
Yeah,
um, it's actually disservicing Indigenous people who are not committing crimes,
yeah,
because oftentimes it's within their communities that the
yeah,
crime is happening. So it's not this Indigenous person did the crime towards like a random white person or black person or whatever. It's oftentimes another
yeah.
Indigenous person. So you're not really doing Indigenous people a favor if you're going to just let
No,
these
I
criminals just
mean,
run
when the
rampant.
RCMP released a report on all those missing Indigenous women,
Yes.
who were the perpetrators? And 90% of
Most
the time,
most of
it
the time it
was
was Indigenous men.
other Indigenous people,
Yes.
and largely Indigenous men. Because who commits crimes against you? Usually people in your own community.
Right.
I mean, it's
The people
usually,
closest to you
yeah,
and your relatives, actually.
yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, there are obviously occasions where people would have a stranger attack
Right.
them. I mean,
Absolutely.
that
That
can happen, but it's
happens.
relatively rare
Yes.
anywhere. It's usually people within your own community.
Right.
Like even in Edmonton, it would be unusual for someone to drive all the way into Edmonton and then commit a string of crimes in Edmonton. It could happen,
Could.
but it'd be unusual. It's
Hmm.
usually we have lots of criminals residing in Edmonton, so someone commits a crime here, someone from Edmonton.
Right.
So, as I said, I mean, it's kind of a terrible situation, and I
It is
guess
a terrible
people of a
situation.
different ideological background would go some way to actually trying to address the issue. So, I mean, I certainly don't think that's a bad idea.
Yeah. I want justice for those missing women. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I want justice for everyone.
Of course. Of course.
And we're not, and that's a little bit scarce at the moment.
It truly is.
Uh, the next referendum question they're putting forward is: do you support the government of Alberta working with governments of other willing provinces to amend the Canadian Constitution to abolish the unelected federal Senate?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Senate's pretty useless. So I don't have a lot to say about that
Well,
other
you're not a
than
big fan of Patrick Brazeau?
I don't even know if he's still there.
He is.
He
I'm pretty
might
sure
be.
he
Yeah.
is.
Well, it's not like
I don't know. He's always like
I heard he
off,
was
like
managing a strip club or something at one point.
yeah, but then also like he was like sober and found Jesus or something, and like I don't know. It's hard to keep track of Patrick. He's quite the character.
Well, I mean,
He's our Canadian bad boy.
do we really need basically what serves as a retirement home for
No,
aging politicians, political bagmen, and media members?
listen, I won't have that any kind. I won't have that slander against senators, because my favorite politician in the whole wide world is Senator John Kennedy in the
Well,
US.
that's the
He is a
American.
national treasure.
That's the American Senate,
I
not the
know.
Canadian one, which
But
is
there's
appointed.
it's a retirement home there. Let's just be real.
No, I mean,
Their Senate, dude.
we say that about ours simply because no one ever has to vote for these people, so they can
Yeah.
show up as little as they want,
Yeah.
uh, and do as little as they want,
Okay.
and
So you were
no one ever votes for them, so
okay.
they can basically just coast
Okay, so
for a
you were
couple
saying it in a
decades.
metaphorical sense that it's a
Yeah,
retirement?
a
Okay, well, over
metaphor.
there it's actual literal.
Listen,
But
I
they're
mean, the
awesome.
Americans have some senators die in office, but at the
Yes.
same time, people vote for that.
Yeah.
So,
And some of them are awesome, man. I
yeah,
mean, John Kennedy, that dude, he's a G. He's hilarious.
the man does have some
He's so
lines.
witty. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he is quite a clever guy.
He's the
I
coolest
will give
person
him that.
ever.
But our Senate,
Useless.
unfortunately, mostly useless.
Yeah, it is.
So I would not mind seeing it right off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Next referendum question. Do you support the government of Alberta working with the governments of other willing provinces to amend the Canadian Constitution to allow provinces to opt out of federal programs that intrude on provincial jurisdiction, such as healthcare, education, and social services, without a province losing any of the associated federal funding for use in its social programs?
Absolutely.
So that's basically, should everyone else get the same deal that Quebec gets?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, why not? I mean, it seems unfair.
Quebec pisses me off.
Yeah,
I'm the biggest separatist for Quebec. They're they cost way too much money. They're just sitting pretty over there, taking everyone's money, not doing shit.
well, I mean, it's always been crazy to me that we're supposed to be a federation of 10 equal provinces, and I get it was two territories for most of my life, but now it's three.
Hmm.
But instead, there's always this one province that whenever there's something that applies to everyone else, gets a special deal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is one province getting that option?
They're like the
Why
golden
doesn't
child
everyone
for
get
like
that
no
option?
reason. I feel like a middle child, like a neglected middle child. Like,
Yeah,
leave me the fuck alone.
yeah. I mean, obviously, I think it should be that everyone should get Quebec's special deal, and
Yep.
that should just be the deal.
Yes.
Makes more sense than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So last one. Do you support the government of Alberta working with the governments of other willing provinces to amend the Canadian Constitution to better protect provincial rights from federal interference by giving a province's laws dealing with provincial or shared areas of constitutional jurisdiction priority over federal laws when the province's laws and federal laws conflict?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in this instance, this would mostly deal with natural resources. So I think that would actually be good because we've seen kind of environmental regulation becoming more and more of an intrusion into the operation of
It's
natural
not even
resources.
it's not even regulating shit though. That's a problem. These people, they're against pipelines, but they're so okay with importing these resources from not only corrupt countries, but in a way more dangerous fashion of transportation where there could be leaks into the ocean or a train explosion. It's just insane to me because you can't even tell where the pipelines are. They're like in the forest, hidden, you can't tell. That's the environmentalist solution right there,
Well,
guys.
and it's pretty wild that Eastern Canada, specifically the maritime provinces, are importing foreign natural gas and oil. We're one of the largest producers of natural gas in the world, and
What
we're
is it,
one of
top 3 or top 4?
in natural gas. I'm not sure. I think
Oh,
it
no,
might
no, oil,
in the
oil.
oil. We're definitely top five. I don't know
I think we're
natural gas,
4.
but we're pretty high up on natural gas as well. Like
Yes,
we're one of the top producing countries in both of these things,
yes.
and yet we're still importing in parts of the country because we can't effectively ship our own products. Where we're one of the leading producers in the entire world across our own country, which is just bizarre. I mean, if we were a serious country which wanted to make money to fund the many financial obligations we've saddled ourselves with, we would ensure that our entire country could buy our most valuable and common products. It doesn't make any sense that
Eh,
we can't.
Yeah, and we should honestly work towards nuclear energy. Saskatchewan is filled with uranium. We should be working towards increasing nuclear energy, and we should also be using some of that uranium to create our own nuclear weapons. I think that we need to actually, yeah, because listen, if we actually used Alberta to its full potential with its oil, its natural gas, and Saskatchewan's uranium, and the other several resources spread out over this beautiful country, we would be a superpower.
Ayatollah Michelle over here wanting to create her own nuclear
Vote
arsenal.
for me, vote for nuclear weapons. We won't have to worry about Trump. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to blow up Trump. I love, honestly, I might disagree with some of the things he does, but you know what? The guy is only looking out for his country's best interests. So, yeah.
We're filming this in our basement. Michelle wants an underground bunker.
This house is too small and not stable enough to be a bunker. It's going to
Yeah.
be very easy to
Yeah.
infiltrate this bunker.
Yeah.
So, is that it for the questions?
Yeah, those are all the
Okay.
referendum questions.
Okay,
There
well,
are actually quite a few of them.
they're kind of common sense. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, I
who the
mean,
hell is answering no?
broadly speaking, I support all of them.
I can't even think of like who the hell would say no to any of it.
Well, I mean, presumably the federal government wouldn't be all that fond of
Sure.
the constitutional questions, which would suggest provinces should be stronger and the federal government weaker.
Well, hey, we wouldn't have to entertain all of this if you didn't mess up this country so bad for the past decade. This wouldn't even be on the table. We wouldn't even be discussing this topic if they hadn't butchered the state of this nation.
Yeah, I mean, no one was really talking about separating
No, they
when
made their
Stephen
own
Harper
bed.
was prime minister.
No, not a single
Uh,
peep.
But now we have separatists coming, supposedly being on the verge of coming to power in Quebec, and we have our whole separatist debate in Alberta. So seemingly, the Liberals are very good at driving the country apart while
Very good at
claiming
it.
they're the only people who can hold the country together.
Right, but they say that Pierre's the divisive one. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Not at all.
I think you guys are trying to create excuses because you feel threatened by him because you actually think that he might have a fighting chance against those crooked liberals.
Well, bizarrely, I mean, there's whole branches of the old media that spend more time wanting to analyze Pierre's policies than anything the actual government's doing.
Right, and it's just so funny to me. I always see in comment threads, "Oh, Pierre, you've been here for how long? What have you done?" We're not in power.
We haven't
They
been since
can't
2015.
do anything
Yeah.
because we're not in power. It's not like we can just overthrow the government and create a dictatorship. That's not how things work over here. So, yeah, we can't really do anything unless the liberals want to because they're the ones that are in power. And even when they do agree to, bills that we've proposed or whatever, they still kind of fine tune it to their own,
Well,
belief system.
anytime they steal any of our
It's
ideas,
diluted.
it becomes like a worse version of what was actually proposed.
Significantly worse. It's
Yeah.
such a diluted shell of a version of what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
It's quite disappointing. But
anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. I think
that more or less covers what we've been kicking around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
thanks everyone. Hopefully, we won't have any significantly long delays like this in the future. But there were a couple of weird things that came up, as we mentioned at the beginning. Michelle had a flu for a little bit, and then our cat got sick. We had one car written off, and then the other one, the engine died on the other.
On our way to actually picking up the other car, his car broke down that same day. So
that was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've test drove a lot of vehicles recently.
I test drove a lot of
vehicles.
vehicles.
Well, I was with you. I only drove one.
Yeah, you only drove one, and you bought that one right off the bat. We're not going to get into that right now.
It was love at first sight.
I know it was love at first sight for you. Whatever.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. That wraps up this episode of Politics Unleashed. Thanks for listening, and make sure to subscribe, like, and share the podcast. We'll see you next time.